Go.
Hi, and welcome to our presentation on utilizing learning styles within your 4-H club. My name is Alisha Faudie, and I'm the 4-H educator in Geauga County.
My name is Ashley Meredith, and I'm the 4-H educator in Trumbull County. So how do we learn? We take in information through sights, sounds, feelings, emotions, and touch. So take a moment to reflect personally how you take in information. So there are 3 basic learning styles: visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. There are subdivisions within each learning style, but today we will be focusing on these simple 3. So first, we'd like you to determine your personal learning style. So at this time, we're asking you to grab a sheet of paper and a pen. We have 15 questions for you to read and answer, either A, B, or C, and then we'll discuss the results at the end. Please take your time in answering the questions below. You may pause the video in order to answer them. So, how'd you do? Let's talk about what your style may be. If you answered mostly A, you are considered a visual learner. If you answered mostly B, you are an auditory learner. And if you answered mostly C, you are a kinesthetic learner. So we're going to dive into a little bit more about what the different learning styles are and what your results mean. So if you are a visual learner, you like to use graphics, charts, illustrations, and other visual aids when learning. You like the idea of having a physical outline or agenda in your hand so that you can take notes. Learners of this style remember the pictures or images that were seen on the papers or handouts and can easily visualize faces and places. If you found out that you were an auditory learner, you learn best from listening and speaking. You like to listen to lectures and participate in group discussions. Learners of the auditory learning style use repetition as a study mechanism. They like to read out loud and need quiet environments to thrive without distractions. If you were a kinesthetic learner, you best understand information through tactile representation of information. You are a hands-on learner. And learners of this style learn by doing and have a shorter attention span and less actively engaged. So they like to be hands-on and have lots of activities involved when learning. This particular pie chart summarizes the different learning styles. So again, you can see that the visual learners like graphs, illustrations, PowerPoints, and pictures. The auditory learners like the discussion and conversations with others, whether they're in small groups or larger groups, and like to watch videos and listen to those videos. The kinesthetic learners they enjoy hands-on activities, standing up and doing different activities during meetings. They like role playing and note-taking as well to stay engaged.
Now let's take a look at how we learn when we're in 4-H. We think about our club meetings. We have all different methods of learning during them. Sometimes guest speakers come in and they give presentations or demonstrations to our club members. We take field trips to local farms or businesses to learn about the industry. We have educational clinics, including skill-a-thon and quality assurance-based activities. Most members complete project judging, where they demonstrate all of their abilities that they learned throughout the project. And we also exhibit in junior fair participation as our final showcase. When choosing a teaching method, there are several things that we should look at. We need to look at the purpose of the program. We also need to look at participation and audience size. Depending on how large a club is, there are some things that may not be feasible for larger clubs that could be utilized in smaller groups. Look at the space available. Are we inside or are we outside? Is there a lot of free activity movement in a room? Are there tables and chairs that might be in the way? Think about the materials and equipment that are needed. Do you need a computer? Do you need tables to set up your skill-a-thon materials? And what kind of time frame are you working in? Utilizing a visual teaching style, there are some things that we need to talk about. Providing time for note-taking. As Ashley mentioned, visual learners like to have that paper copy in their hand. So we need to make sure we provide time after each material presented to allow the participant to take notes, to write down their thoughts. We use pictures and charts that gives the visual representation of our key points. Additionally, color is used a lot to emphasize things when we're using text. Color code materials can be helpful when mentally organizing stuff. Refrain from wordiness, meaning there's a lot of information that can be communicated, and it doesn't always have to be a lot of words. Use storytelling. We all think of the time where we hear a story and how it relates. We use metaphors to get key points across. Also, when we use phrases like picture this or imagine that. Utilizing the auditory teaching style. Have them read out loud. We all think back to when we were in elementary school and we went around the room and everyone read a paragraph. Sometimes this also works within our club meetings. Provide opportunities for conversation. Say after we read that one passage, allow them a few minutes to converse with the person beside them to really get an understanding of what was just read. We also encourage problem solving and allow students to pair up and explain things to each other. We use mnemonic devices and rhyming. We all have acronyms and stuff that we use to memorize things. This is also something that auditory teaching styles use greatly. Use sounds to enhance teaching. If you say picture this and then you play a recording of a sound to identify different kinds of birds in the woods, that could be a good teaching method. And we use quizzes as well. That goes back to having the paper in hand and allowing them to read and take notes. Now, when we utilize the kinesthetic teaching style, this is where we're up and we're moving around. We have physical activities and hands-on experiences. Stand up and walking around is very effective, even if it is not being actively engaged. Give them a break. Tell them to stand up and stretch and do a few jumping jacks or high-five their neighbors. We use a pen and paper to map out our thoughts. Writing is a physical exercise, and sometimes when we write things down multiple times, we get to learn them on a better level. We can use activities like puzzles and flashcards and even physical objects to get our message across. Role-playing scenarios are also very popular with this teaching style. Specific descriptions. This is where we can use also more metaphors and similes, where the wind was forcibly hitting the left side of his body. That creates an actual physical attraction to what is going on. If we close our eyes, we can all know what the wind feels like hitting the side of our body.
So next, we just like to focus on how we can continue to implement this in the club setting. And the first thing is knowing your members. Whether you have a small club of 5 or a larger club of 60 or anything in between, it's important to know what the ages are of your members because they are all going to interact a little bit differently based on their age, maturity, and ability level. So if you look at the chart with me, from 6 to 8 years old, those members might be more sensitive to criticism. They do best with hands-on learning and staying engaged. and they are still in the boys versus girls stage. They like to be very active, but they may have a short attention span. From 9 to 11 years old, their maturity level is affected by gender. They like to be in groups like themselves with similar interests, and they begin to question authority. From 12 to 14 years old, there's a wide range of development, and that is something to keep in mind. They seek approval and recognition from peers and others. They challenge assumptions, and they begin to learn through abstract thinking. And then 15 to 18 years old, they want that additional adult leadership role. They understand abstract thinking a little bit more, but may lose patience with meaningless activity. And they enjoy demonstrating their knowledge and what they have learned. So just keep that in mind. It's good to assess what age range your club supports. And so now it's your turn. We have a couple ideas up on the screen now. And when I advance to the next slide, we're going to use that worksheet to try it yourself. So here's some different options that you can use. But if you have another idea that you'd like to implement, by all means, please utilize that. So Alisha and I have developed this worksheet, and this is something that you can utilize at meetings or different events to make sure that you're embracing all learning styles of your members. So take this time now to write down the name of your activity, the area of learning, what ages this activity may be appropriate for, or how this can be tailored for more than one age group. And then think about different adaptations for each type of learner, whether it be visual, auditory, or kinesthetic. So take a moment to jot down some notes.
Okay, and to recap everything we had just talked about and reviewed, we know that everyone learns differently. Ashlee just gave us a great overview of how ages and stages can impact and affect our programming and how our members learn. So we need to make sure that we embrace everyone's uniqueness. We strive to provide an inclusive environment. 4-H is always there to provide a warm, welcoming environment for all of our members, families, and volunteers. And most importantly, have fun. We need to make sure that all of our members are actively engaged and enjoying the activities that they're doing. So that concludes our presentation. And if you have any questions about the information covered or would like our resources that were outlined in this presentation, on the screen you will see the contact information for Ashlee and myself. Please feel free to email us and we'll be happy to help you with your 4-H year. Thank you for watching.